Hold that. Hold that. Real Madrid. Liverpool 1. Real Madrid 0. What a night of football that was. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Liverpool fully deserved it from the first whistle right the way through to the last. I have to credit the players. I have to credit Arne Slot. Everybody involved got their game plan and absolutely executed it right down to the final detail. It was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant from start to finish. I cannot express how happy I was. I cannot express how happy I am waking up this morning. And I cannot express how happy I am that Arne Slot has changed. He's adapted. He's done exactly what I've been calling out for this entire season. Why it's taken him this long to do so, why it's taken the players this long to carry out the basics, I don't know. But finally, it seems like Liverpool, I don't want to speak too soon because, of course, these things can change in an instant. But it does seem like we have started, at least, to turn the corner. First, it was Aston Villa on Saturday. And I still have, my sort of caveats to that victory on Saturday against Villa. But last night, there was no doubt it was absolutely brilliant from start to finish. We made Real Madrid look mediocre. We made them look mediocre last night. 1-0, I don't think is a true reflection on the dominance that Liverpool had over Real Madrid last night. I don't think 1-0 is a true reflection of the entire story of what happened last night. If it hadn't have been for a certain Thibaut Courtois yet again pulling out another incredible performance in the Real Madrid goal, things could have started to look exactly like the 2022 Champions League final between Liverpool and Real Madrid. But thanks to Alexis Mac Allister's second half header, that was the difference maker on the day. That was all that was enough for Liverpool to control the game and win the game by a single goal to nil. It was a brilliant performance from front to back, from back to front, from right to left, from left to right, all the way through the entirety of this team, the club, the setup, the coaching staff, the manager. Everything on the night was perfect. And I cannot honestly speak highly enough of everybody involved. So congratulations to Liverpool Football Club. We're going to go through the performance. We're going to go through the result, what this means, where we go from here. Manchester City on Sunday, and all of that good stuff in between. But before we go any further in discussing all of that and much more, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And also to get involved in the chat. Let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling about that performance yourselves, the result, and everything else to do with Liverpool Football Club. Anything to do with last night's Champions League in general. Or anything football related, or even if you just want to say hi, if you want to just see how we're all doing, just have a bit of a general chat, whatever you're up to today, whatever you're up to this week, let me know all of that good stuff in the chat. Would love to hear from you all on what you have to say. Alex is already here, ladies and gentlemen. Big up to you, my bro. Hope you're doing well. I'm sure you're buzzing, as I can clearly tell from some of your chats. You say, get in. Let's win against City now. Absolutely, my bro. City are in our crosshairs immediately following last night's victory. I stayed up till 4 a.m. to watch it. Big up for the commitment there, my bro. I was thinking how much I was gonna cry. For now, I'm smiling. Absolutely. Cannot wait until the City game. Courtois is insane, very inconsistent in my opinion, though. I don't watch a massive amount of La Liga. I will admit, I don't watch a massive amount of La Liga. I'll catch a fair few games though here and there, and I've got to say that the Courtois in the Champions League does seem like a different animal than in La Liga. Still a fantastic goalkeeper. Still a great goalkeeper. Don't get me wrong. But it does seem like I don't know. He seems to step it up a level, shall we say, in the Champions League. Courtois against other teams, he's a clown. Courtois against Liverpool, though, he had an unbelievable night. He had an unbelievable night, and the only reason the scoreline was a respectable 1-0 loss was simply because of Thibaut Courtois. Otherwise, Liverpool bullied and dominated Real Madrid in every single aspect last night. There were some very good individual performances. I mean, where do we start? I mean, Mamardashvili had nothing to do. He had one save to make, I believe, the entire game, and he made it well. He had nothing to do all game, Mamardashvili, and that was down to a very solid defensive display from Liverpool, which we've been crying out for so long, and it finally occurred. Andy Robertson, rolling back the years, Mr. Andy Robertson. Oh, Andy Robertson. What a performance from Andy Robertson last night. We've not exactly been on the best of terms, myself and Robertson. I called him out a lot last season, but this is the performance that I've been so wanting him to rediscover from years gone by. It was an absolute brilliant performance yet again. And once again, further proof that although I do still like and I still rate and I still believe in Milos Kerkez, at least for now, Andy Robertson needs to be our starting left back. Van Dijk, Konate, imperious, absolutely imperious at the back. Gave Kylian Mbappe barely a sniff last night. There was only probably one opportunity that Mbappe had, which he put wide last night. They didn't give him a single sniff in front of goal. I'm going to skip Conor Bradley because I want to have a special mention for Conor Bradley. But in the midfield, Mac Allister seemingly back to his best. Again, I don't want to speak too soon. I know these things can turn instantly. But Mac Allister was unbelievable. Szoboszlai. Oh my days! Based purely on form, not on reputation or anything like that, based purely on form, is there a more complete, and I'm talking complete, midfielder right now on as much form as Dominik Szoboszlai? Oh my God. Everything this guy touches right now is gold. Everything this guy touches right now is gold. Even when Liverpool were playing poorly, this guy still stepped up. And now that we're, playing quite well these past couple of games, he is still performing excellently. He could have had a couple of goals last night had it not been for a couple of very good saves from Thibaut Courtois. He obviously got the assist from the free kick. He had an unbelievable night, Dominik Szoboszlai. I am loving him more and more and more and more and more, even more than I previously did with every single time that I see this guy. He was outstanding last night. Outstanding in every single aspect. And right now, he is undroppable. He's undroppable. Ryan Gravenberch, another solid game from him. Mo Salah, didn't think it was his best performance offensively. I thought that there were a few times where he did frustrate me, where he could have passed the ball, but he decided to try and take it on himself. But I thought defensively, and I thought his work rate and him taking on the defender that he was up against, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Again, just a little bit frustrated that sometimes he would try and take it on a little bit himself rather than pass. But I thought he was, again, another great performance from Mo. Florian Wirtz. I was a little bit cautious, shall we say, when I saw that he was starting out on the left. But this guy was everywhere on the pitch. He was everywhere on the pitch. He was on the right 1 second, dispossessing Dean Huijsen. He was setting up Ekitike and playing these little 1-2s of Ekitike through the centre the next. He was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant, and I'm hoping that will give him the confidence going forward. Look, I've been cautious about Florian Wirtz playing on that left-hand side, but I don't know. Maybe Slot is onto something with playing him on that sort of left 10 position. Does that mean we may lack something on that left-hand side? Potentially. But I don't know. Maybe there is something to the left 10 position, which I know he kind of played a little bit when he was at Leverkusen. Maybe there is something to that, especially if you want to work Wirtz with Ekitike, because I've said time and time again that maybe that combination doesn't work, and maybe with Florian Wirtz playing more centrally and Ekitike playing up front, maybe it doesn't quite work. But maybe pulling Wirtz out to the left, maybe there is something in that. But Florian Wirtz last night was unbelievable. I think he created the most chances on the pitch by an individual. He definitely created about 5 in that first half alone. He was unfortunate not to get an assist last night. And I know that rival fans will look at, oh, no output, no goals, no assists. That means he must have been crap. The typical sort of terrible fan response or rival response of, tell me what you didn't watch the game without telling me you didn't watch the game. Because I thought Florian Wirtz last night was absolutely brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. The only thing lacking was an assist, but that's not down to him. He did create a number of good opportunities. I thought his work rate last night, something that I think goes underappreciated and a little bit under the radar, was absolutely outstanding. I mean, a lot of players last night put in an absolute shift, and fair play to each and every single one of them. But Florian Wirtz especially stood out to me in that department. And Hugo Ekitike, again, maybe not his best performance, but again, worked his socks off. And there was a few maybe moments. He had a very good, he had a couple of good attempts with his head in the second half. One that forced a very good save from Thibaut Courtois. Another one that just went wide past the post. Again, not his best performance, Ekitike, but certainly still a very good performance in terms of his work rate, his work ethic, and just in terms of his overall play and his link-up play and everything, you could just see the confidence flow. Maybe he was doing a little bit too much at times, but sometimes I don't mind that. At least you're trying a little something different and out the ordinary and something a bit exciting. I absolutely loved the performance of everyone last night. But the one player to stand out for me, and I've been critical of him for most of this season, Conor freaking Bradley. Real Madrid must be terrified of coming up against Conor Bradley. Real Madrid must be sat there right now thinking, we got the wrong right back. We got the wrong right back. Maybe I'm going a bit too far. No, they must be terrified because for 2 years in a row, Conor Bradley has been outstanding in this fixture. He has been phenomenal in this fixture. He has locked up Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. in 2 consecutive matches against Real Madrid. Conor Bradley was outstanding in every single freaking aspect last night. In everything. In everything he did. Whether it was progressing and going forward, I felt like being a little bit narrow last night. Again, I've been critical of that this season. But I felt like being a bit narrow last night actually worked for him to progress and to actually force Vinicius Jr. to track back. And then when Vinicius Jr. gets that yellow card in the first half, I kind of felt he's got him on toast here. He has really got him on toast here because now Vinny can't track back because he's already proven he can get past Vinny. And if Vinny obviously is to track back, there is a strong possibility that maybe a second yellow could follow. Conor Bradley had Vinicius Jr. on toast when he was going forward, and defensively, he had him absolutely locked up. Vinicius Jr. had got nothing out of Conor Bradley all game. Bradley was absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely loved his performance. He was strong in everything that he did. He was smart in everything that he did. He was absolutely phenomenal last night, and he deserves all of the plaudits. Salah wasn't too bad this time. Saw glimpses of our team from last season. That was the thing. That was the thing as well. The possession stats. I've been over this time and time again this season. Liverpool this season, for whatever reason, I've tried to transform into a possession-based team, which doesn't necessarily suit us in certain games. And there's certain games that we tried to be that possession team, we've flopped. Last night, we gave up possession. We gave up possession to have more control. Something we haven't really done this season. And it worked to perfection. It worked to perfection. Giving up possession, receiving more control. It was a very, very good performance overall, but it was just what we needed to see more of this season. And I can't believe it's taken us this long to actually get it. But going back to last year, taking that from last year and only slightly with obviously the new players and new things, slightly modifying it to obviously factor in to account the new players of this season, with subtle changes here and there. That's what we needed to do, rather than just go into this season changing too much, too soon, too quickly. Now that we've gone back to last season, I hope that will continue going forward. I hope that therefore we can then slowly transition a little bit more to keep opposition on their toes and that kind of thing. And I hope that obviously we can transition to accommodate for our new players in the team that are obviously slowly being bled in to this side. I'm hoping that we will see more of that. But what we saw last night, particularly from the possession-based stats, was Liverpool receive more control to have very little of the ball. And it worked very, very well. Even in the second half, though, because the thing I've always criticised Arne Slot for this season has been, why are you telling everybody our weaknesses in public? Why are you saying that we can't deal with long balls? We can't deal with set pieces? In the second half, I did feel like Real Madrid went more long ball, because I felt in the first half they tried to play football, which I said in my preview, if anybody remembers, will play into Liverpool's hands a lot more. That did happen. But then even in the second half, Real Madrid went more long ball. Now, maybe they don't have the kind of physical presences in certain areas to do that, but I also thought that Liverpool set up very, very well to combat that this time around. And because of that, Liverpool were able to combat the long ball threat, which has been our Achilles heel all season. Now, whether that will happen against more physical-based opponents, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see if that does happen. But we accommodated and we combated so many issues in these past couple of games very, very well. I'm still cautious. It's probably just my nature as a human being, but we did very, very well. And to go back to last season, I thought that was what was needed. That was definitely what was needed. Big up Tony is in the building. Hope you're doing well, my bro. Lovely to have you here with us. He says, morning, my man. Great win. You see what happens when Slot stops with the consistent team changing, bring in new signings slowly. It's what we've been calling out for, my bro. Me and you have been on the same wavelength with this kind of thing all season. And, it's what we've been calling out for. We've been calling out for Slot to change things. Like, I don't think we've ever said that, things can't turn around. But it looked for a certain amount of time like the stubbornness was going to shine through. And right now, he's changing things. And long may it continue. I'm still not changing my opinion just yet. Because, of course, again, these things can instantly go back to normal. But what we have seen these past couple of games is the basics being done by the players. and Arne Slot change things that we as fans have been calling out for him to change. We called him out since the first game against Crystal Palace in the Premier League, and it didn't happen. The modifications, the changes, they didn't happen. They didn't happen in Galatasaray. They didn't happen against Chelsea. They didn't happen against Man United. They didn't happen against Brentford. But now we are starting to see it. Why it's this long, I don't know. But we are now finally starting to see it. You're on 100% spot on there. How long is Alisson out for? Can he be back after the international break? I think he is going to be back for the international break. I think it's either the Forest game or is it West Ham afterwards? I think it's either one of those two games he could potentially be back for. But Mamadashvili right now, good. But again, he's another one that needs to be bled into not necessarily the system, but more so the league slowly, to adjust to the physicality aspect, to adjust to those kind of things. So, fingers crossed that he continues to do so, but fingers crossed as well that everything goes well with Alisson's recovery over the international break and he makes a very, very positive return. You're preparing yourself beautifully for the 3-1L at the Etihad. Big up Alf who's in the building. Lovely to have you here, my bro. Look, I've said, like, I'm not going too overboard. I'm happy with the result. I'm always happy to beat Real Madrid. And it's even sweeter that, of course, Trent Alexander-Arnold last night was on the bench. Eventually, he came on and did absolutely nothing in the entirety of his time being on the pitch. I'm happy. I'm happy with the result. And I'll always be happy with a win, regardless of anything that occurs during the game. I'll always be happy to get 3 points. What does that mean for Sunday? Well, as I said in my preview, sort of preview to last night's game on Monday, I said that we would have a bigger chance of beating Real Madrid than I think we have a bigger chance of beating Man City. Am I more confident than what I was? Yes. Am I worried that we could instantly go back to normal, especially from like long balls and set pieces, especially with the kind of form that Erling Haaland in particular is in right now? Yes. But I think if we pack out the midfield, I think if we go with a similar setup to what we did last night, real pack out the midfield, stop the supply into Haaland, Van Dijk being on point, Konate being a colossus, I reckon that we could neutralise Manchester City the same way that we neutralised Real Madrid last night. Does that mean we will? Look, it's easier said than done. Of course it is. Of course it is. But it's not impossible. And we did it twice last season in both home and away games against your lot. Now, I know we're facing a slightly different Man City, one that has adapted a little bit more to a sort of new style, a new setup under Pep Guardiola. But it's not impossible. And a big win here, you know, it's going to be much needed, much wanted. And look, I would hope that as much as I don't really care for City, I kind of want one of us to at least stop Arsenal, because one of us has the more realistic chance of doing so than anybody else. But no, always go for a Liverpool win in these setups. Madrid were woeful though. They were, but I think a lot of that was down to how well Liverpool played. I think a lot of that was down to how Liverpool played last night. That made Real Madrid look woeful. They made them look mediocre. So I think more so credit to Liverpool than being critical of Real Madrid and how poorly they played. I haven't watched a lot of Man City, but the stats say that their attack is single-handedly being carried by Haaland. I have questioned that. I have questioned when the goals dry up for City, or should I say Haaland, does anybody step up? And we saw that in the game against Aston Villa. When Haaland wasn't exactly firing on all cylinders, Nobody else really stepped up. Nobody else has that consistent output. That's my only problem with City this season. And I have questioned that at times. Does anybody actually step up in Haaland's place? Now, of course, there are going to be a few games here and there where someone will step up. Maybe a Reinders will get a goal from midfield. Maybe Jeremy Doku and his inconsistent output may step up and actually produce something like he did against Man United, I think it was. Maybe, Savio may get a goal or an assist or something, or maybe they might get something from a set piece from someone like a Gvardiol or something. But it is something that if I was a City fan, I would be concerned with, because if something was to happen to Haaland, and the international break is coming up, and the games after that come thick and fast, it's basically game, couple of days later, 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 game, because of all the competitions and all of the Champions League and Premier League games that are coming up. It does worry me, or it would worry me a little bit if I was a City fan, should I say. But it is something to be concerned with. And our high press will hinder Haaland's chances in front of goal. It could hinder them, but it also could mean that one ball in behind and Haaland is away. So it does work both ways. There is a slight caveat to that. A high press is exactly opposite of what you should be doing if you want to keep Haaland out. Again, it can work both ways. It can work both ways. We felt much more comfortable even without keeping possession with our high press. Also, Connor Cafu Bradley is a great proper Brexit footballer. Yeah, like I said, giving up possession last night really benefited us to have more control of the game. It was really, really good the way that obviously we worked that out. And we went back to last season, because that's exactly what made us great last season. In most games, we gave up the lion's share of possession. We may have got like 51 or 50, but we haven't had like what we've had this season. This season, we've had like 60, 70 odd % possession in games, but have done absolutely nothing with the ball. Last night, we gave up the lion's share of possession, and we actually made our possession count in terms of moving the ball in key areas that made Madrid struggle. So it really worked out to our benefit over the course of 90 odd minutes. Trent receiving the booing was so satisfying to watch. I mean, what was he to expect? What was he to expect? It was great. It was great. It was fun to watch. It was fun to watch. Like, playing a bit of pantomime villain. We are getting into pantomime season. But yeah, I don't know what he was expecting to watch. But a penny for his thoughts right now. No, I'm sure overall he is what it is. Big up Josh is in the chat. Lovely to have you here, my bro. I'm good, man. I hope you're doing well yourself. Guys, go and show him some love and support to True Gooner. He is, of course, if you cannot tell already, an Arsenal fan, but he makes some absolutely fantastic content over on his channel. He's doing stuff pretty much by the daily, doing some awesome stuff. Go and show him some love and support over on the True Gooner YouTube channel. I'm sure you're buzzing as well from yesterday. Another win, another clean sheet, and it kind of makes it so from your guys' perspective, because I know you've got Bayern Munich coming up after the international break in the Champions League. And Bayern, up until the red card yesterday, well, even then, beyond the red card, they actually did look very, very good, especially defensively. They look sound. I know, obviously, Jean Neves gets a very good goal, but yeah, Bayern Munich looked really, really good last night. Luis Diaz is going to be a big miss for them. Luis Diaz is going to be a big miss in that game. So that's going to be a huge benefit to you. But it does mean that if you don't win that game, given your strong start to the Champions League campaign, that you don't necessarily need to win that game. The pressure is somewhat off. Maybe you could rotate and see it as like, well, we've got some big Premier League games coming up. We can rotate. If we take the L, we take the L. We're going to qualify in the top 8 anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Of course, I know you'd like to still win that game, but yeah, it was a very good result for your lot yesterday. Another clean sheet. What's that, like 8 on the bounce now or something ridiculous like that? It's absolutely stupid how impenetrable and how amazing your defense is. Like, I'm quite jealous of it, in all honesty. But yeah, I'm sure you're absolutely buzzing from last night. Good result for you lot last night. Could be a turning point in the season, especially if you could beat Man City. If we can go into the international break with 3 points over Man City, you know, maybe this season isn't completely as dead as what I thought it was a couple of weeks ago. Maybe, just maybe. But Connor Bradley played 90 minutes in the span of 3 days, so he might be quite fatigued. Is Frimpong back from injury or for the City game, or does Szoboszlai have to fill in? Frimpong's out for a good 5 to 6 weeks. At least that was the news of last week. He's going to be out for a good 5 to 6 weeks, so Frimpong won't be back for the City game. The only alternative I can think of, because I don't think you can take Szoboszlai out of that midfield. So the only alternative I can think of is Joe Gomez at right back. That's the only alternative I can think of. If obviously he's feeling fatigued, or if he thinks, look, we've got one more game left, then we've got the international break. He's probably going to still play over the course of that international break anyway. But I think maybe for one game, I think he can probably survive it for that, you know? So I think he still will play. He may not get the complete 90 minutes. Like I said, I think we might see a bit of Joe Gomez on Sunday. But that's the only alternative I can think of, because in the form that Szoboszlai is in right now, you cannot seriously consider playing Szoboszlai at right back. I know he's played very well there, but I don't think you can play Szoboszlai in that position right now, because Szoboszlai is playing too good in the midfield. Big up SM44, hope you're doing well, my bro. Lovely to have you on board with us this Monday morning. You say, bear with me 1 second. We did it, man. We did it. What a performance by the team against Real Madrid. Absolutely, my bro. Could not be happier with the team. Could not be happier with the performance. Absolutely brilliant from everybody all around. Big up Reluctant Gamer is in the chat as well. Good luck for your boys tonight. If you got again, I forgot. Oh, I completely forgot who you've got. I've completely forgot who you've got. The Athletic Bilbao, of course. We discussed it on Monday. I completely forgot then. Yeah, big up to your boys tonight. Hope you do well, my bro. Looking forward to watching your boys tonight. I could be watching Man City Dortmund, but I don't know. It's an interesting one tonight. Man City Dortmund or Newcastle Bilbao, people? Which one are we going for? Big up Luca Talks Dons. Hope you're doing well, my bro. Everyone, go and show some love and support to Luca Talks Dons. Talking some MK Don stuff, but also every now and again he will talk a bit of Arsenal as well. So if you want to broaden your footballing horizons, go and check some of the content out on Luca Talks Dons and show him some love and support over there. Lovely to have you on board with us this morning, my bro. Hope you're doing well. The problem for you lot is that all our injured players come back just before playing you. That can be a good thing for your lot, or it can be a thing of they need time to get back in the swing of things. Who knows? Lucas says Liverpool are back, people. I think you're back in the title race, so do not rule out Liverpool. I think Liverpool are going to win 2-1 against City on Sunday. Look, I'm not saying anything right now until Sunday. The title race is not anything I'm considering or thinking about anytime soon, simply for the reason that Arsenal right now are looking impenetrable. Of course, if Sunderland were to do something this weekend, which isn't completely out the realms of possibility, considering the start to the season that they've had, if they were to do something this weekend and Liverpool were to win, I think the door might then open. But until then, we'll take it one step at a time. Don't underestimate Sunderland, champions-elect. I'm sure Reluctant Gamer is going to be very unhappy to hear you speak about a rival like that. But yeah, if I would love another Leicester season. You know, if Liverpool weren't going to win the Premier League, I would love another Leicester-type season of about a decade ago. But I don't necessarily think that's going to be happening. I think you're going to see the real Liverpool of old back now. Do not rule you lot out of the title in a 3-horse race. I think Man City will win the league. Arsenal second, Liverpool third is what Luca is going for here. Some bold predictions right there from Luca. Marmoush and Shirky will step up for City. They've both been injured, so we've been Haaland FC so far, but they're back now. There's still some question marks. I think Shirky is. I think Shirky's a fantastic player. I think Shirky's a fantastic player that I want to see more of. I definitely want to see more of Ryan Shirky. Marmoush came over here with a big reputation following an unbelievable season in the Bundesliga with Frankfurt. Didn't quite get the output. There was a lot of maybe moments with Marmoush. And I still think there's a lot more to come from him. So maybe. I just think it's, again, about working him with Haaland and maybe getting a bit of understanding between the two of them. But it certainly could be a dangerous factor. It certainly could be a dangerous factor for Liverpool to look at. For Liverpool to look at, and especially for other teams beyond that point as well, to obviously consider when playing City. Real Madrid are often thought of this magical, pristine team, but yesterday they looked average, like a mid-table Prem team. Big up Marco's in the chat. Lovely to have you here, my bro. Yeah, we made them look average. We were absolutely unbelievable. Our press was on point. We were all over them. They couldn't handle our physicality. They couldn't handle anything that Liverpool threw at them yesterday. And like I say, the only player that can walk off that pitch with his head held high from a Madrid standpoint is probably Thibaut Courtois, who, without him, the scoreline could have been humiliating from a Real Madrid perspective. So, yeah, we made them look average, like you say. I got this horrible feeling you guys might go on a good run now. We're going to find out where Arsenal really are in the next 4 games. Do you think next 4 matches, Sunderland away, Spurs at home, Chelsea away, and Villa away? They are tough games. They are tough games. You've had a pretty favourable run these past few games, and I think, you know, Sunderland, with all due respect, I know they've had a great start to the season, but let's be real, you should be really beating Sunderland. Spurs at home. Spurs' away form. I think Spurs have the best away form in the Premier League, you know. I think Spurs have the best away form in the Premier League. So that's going to be no easy game. I mean, it's not going to be an easy game anyway because it's a derby. You know, the whole cliche of form goes out the window and all of that stuff. But Spurs' away form, I believe, is the best in the Premier League. They've been so much better away from home than at home, which is kind of strange for most teams to have that kind of record. So that's going to be tough. Chelsea away. Depends what Chelsea team turns up. It really does depend on what Chelsea team turns up. If it's the Chelsea team that turned up against us, you might find it difficult. If it's the Chelsea team that simply rolls over for certain other teams, like the one against maybe a Sunderland, for example, you'll have it easy. And Aston Villa's the same. Aston Villa can be a bit of a bogey side for most teams, but again, it depends on what Aston Villa team turns up, because I was expecting us to stutter against Aston Villa last weekend, but it was actually pretty comfortable, in all honesty. But that's not to say that it's going to be comfortable for Arsenal when they meet. But then again, it could be. You never know. We'll define where Arsenal really are. Next 4 games will be where we see Arsenal really are. Me as an Arsenal fan, I'm always being an Arsenal fan. I do think next 4 games will define where we really are. Sunderland away, Spurs at home, Chelsea away, Villa away. Next 4 games, we'll find out where Arsenal really are. If we get 10 points minimum, we win the league. I can see you beating Sunderland. As much as I want Sunderland to cause an upset to make things a little interesting, I can see you beating Sunderland. I can see you beating Chelsea. You know what it is? Like, unless you get a couple of big injuries, I don't really see. And by big injuries, like, I know that people are saying that Arsenal are going for a bit of an injury crisis right now. But let's be real. Most of the players that are injured are the ones that were injured last season that most Arsenal fans said was the cause of why you fell off last season, which I don't agree with completely anyway. But I'm talking big injuries as in, I think if you get like an injury to Rice, Gabriel, I think then you might stutter a little bit. But right now, you're looking impenetrable. Your set pieces are working pretty much to perfection game in, game out, with the exception of the Liverpool game. Game in, game out, they are pretty much perfect. You're only going to get better, in my opinion, from open play in terms of attacking wise. So I just don't see it, unless obviously something major was to happen in the run of games where like you actually start to play 2 games a week, 3 games a week. I just don't see it. I just don't see how you don't pick up 10 points. At the very least, a minimum of 10 points, in your words, from those next 4 games. Like I say, Spurs away, Spurs at home is going to be tough because Spurs' away form is so good. Chelsea away, again, depending on what Chelsea team turns up, because the Chelsea team that I saw go against Arsenal, both home and away last season, barely laid a glove on you. So it depends. It really does depend on what those kind of teams turn up, but they should be fine. They should be fine. Arsenal's defense isn't good. That's a myth. Look at them play. They're super intense. All their attackers and midfielders are running 90 minutes long to keep a clean sheet. Sign of a well-drilled, well-oiled team. I mean, it's the way that they play. It's not like they sit deep. It's not as if they, look to park the bus or anything. Arsenal's defense is just immaculate right now. It really, really is. I mean, one of the 3 goals that they conceded all season was from an unbelievable free kick from Dominic Szoboszlai. The defense is just brilliant. The defense is just absolutely brilliant. One slight worry. Why is Tuchel calling people Rice for England squad for Serbia, Albania? I don't get it. There are a number of players that he's looking to take to those games, and I just think like we're pretty much already qualified. If not, we've already qualified. I can't remember. Why not just go with some other players? I'm not saying take a completely new squad. I'm not saying take a squad of players that you may be just seeing as giving their England debuts to. But, take a few of the outsiders. Maybe give Declan Rice a week or 2 off. Maybe give Harry Kane a week or 2 off. You don't need to take some of these players that you're going to be taking for these games. Most England teams that we have, even down to our under 18s, probably should be beating a senior squad level Albania or a Serbia. It just doesn't make sense to me as to why he'd go full strength, but it is what it is. Chiesa isn't in the Italy squad again. It's unfortunate. I would love to see... I mean, it's unfortunate for him personally, but hopefully it's something that may benefit Liverpool, hopefully. And especially with big games coming up week to week, every few days. And with AFCON, of course, coming up in December for Mo Salah, we probably could be seeing a lot more of Federico Chiesa in the December/January period. So if that is the case, then I'm all for it. But at the same time, keeping him as fit as possible is obviously our main priority. Because if he goes down, it's probably going to be something like Wirtz on the right-hand side. Or we switch Gakpo over to the right and we put Wirtz on the left. Either way, it's going to be one of those two things. So I'm looking forward to seeing a bit more of Chiesa once the international break is over. Look at Saka against Slavia Prague, sliding in the 90th minute to keep a clean sheet. That's not something you should be doing in November. They're going to burn themselves out again. Look, Alf, I hope you're right. I hope they do burn themselves out, and I hope they do go a little bit too over the top in the early stages, and eventually, you know, the fuel in the tank eventually does run out later on down the line at a critical point. I hope you're right in that, but I have to applaud the desire and the work rate of this, because as of right now, I think they are projected to potentially beat Jose Mourinho and Chelsea's record of the fewest amount of goals conceded in a single Premier League season. I know last night was obviously Champions League. I know they should be beating Slavia Prague no matter what kind of lineup they have out there, but I'm hoping they do burn themselves out. I'm hoping you are right. I'm just I'm just a little bit worried that this season they've reinforced. This season they are looking a lot more disciplined than what they were maybe last season. I'm just wary of Arsenal. I'm just very, very wary of what this Arsenal side could potentially do this season. Alpha's gone with Bruges 1, Barcelona 0. It would be incredible if an underdog story did come out tonight. Alex has gone with Man City 0, Dortmund 4. I mean, imagine the odds on that. Imagine the odds of a Dortmund 4-0 victory. Let me just have a look on Sky Bet. Bear with me 1 second. Let's just have a look on Sky Bet as to what the odds are for a 4-0 victory in favour of Borussia Dortmund tonight. Why can't I find it? Dortmund to win by 4 or more goals is 125 to 1. 125 to 1. Imagine that. Next game, either City or Liverpool are dropping points, which is great for Arsenal. So you're not going for a draw then, Marco? You're not going for a draw. You're saying that one of City or Liverpool will win on Sunday. Interesting. Predictions from Alf here state that Sunderland 0, Arsenal 1, Spurs 0, Arsenal 2, Chelsea 2, Arsenal 1, and Aston Villa 0, Arsenal 0. is what Alpha's gone for in the next 4 games for Arsenal. Look, I can definitely see Arsenal winning against Sunderland. The Spurs game, you probably would suspect Arsenal will win, but I don't suspect they'll have it all their own way, especially with Spurs' home form. Chelsea against Arsenal, like I say, depends what Chelsea team turns up. That could be awkward. But at the same time, it also could be very easy because Chelsea are very Jekyll and Hyde this season. And Aston Villa 0, Arsenal 0. Again, Aston Villa have been a bit of a bogey side for Arsenal, especially these past couple of seasons. But again, you wouldn't put it past Villa slipping up, and you wouldn't put it past Arsenal just to absolutely wipe the floor with them and dominate and control in the way that they have done with most teams this season. Chiesa is very disrespected and underrated. Completely agree. I hope to see more of him. Marco says, put on a tenner. Oh, Jesus Christ. No. As much as I like a flutter, as much as I like a gamble every now and again, a tenner might be too rich for my blood in terms of that particular bet. If it does come true tonight, here's the worst thing about it, right? I normally say things, I don't put money on it, it normally comes true. I put money on things, and then it don't come true. Case in point, last week, Crystal Palace against Liverpool. I look at the lineup of Crystal Palace and I go, oh, Ismail Assar's playing. What are the chances he's probably going to score? Very highly. Did I put money on that happening? Nope. Would I have won big if I had done? Probably, depending on how much money and how confident I was that he would score. Yeah. But did I put money on it? No, of course not. Why would I? Why would I? It was so painfully obvious Ismail Assar was going to score against us, because he always frigging does, that I decided to talk about it, put it out into the world, and then not actually cash in or get free money out of it, which essentially it would have been easy money. But, yeah, that's my bad. It's my fault. I wish I did. I would have, put quite a bit of money on it because I was that confident that Ismail Assar would have scored against us last week, which he did. There would have been a good possibility that if Real Madrid could have actually loaned Ismail Assar in for one night only last night, registered him for the Champions League, that he would have probably scored against us last night as well. Because that's just the type of player he is. Karabakh 0, Chelsea 0, Ajax 3, Galatasaray 1, Benfica 7, Leverkusen 0. Big up Jose Mourinho. Bruges 1, Barcelona 0, Inter 0, Kairat Almaty 4, and Man City 0, Dortmund 4. If you were to put an accumulator on that, that would be monumental money if that was to all come in. I highly doubt it. As you say here, you are just kidding. I'm trolling. Fair enough. But imagine if that was to come true, though. Imagine if you'd have actually predicted all of tonight's games. The money on that would be astronomical. It would have been insane. Gyökeres might be out the entirety of November. It's just as well that Kai Havertz is almost back. Is Kai Havertz almost back? I feel like I've heard Arsenal fans say that he's almost back. Kai Havertz on the verge of returning, which I think is what Arteta has wanted, right? I feel like Arteta's been waiting for Kai Havertz to return in this side. They could be back for Tottenham. He could be back for Tottenham. All of them could be back for Tottenham. So Gyökeres, Martinelli, Madueke, Havertz, and Odegaard potentially all back for that Tottenham game, which is probably music to the ears of a lot of Arsenal fans. Could all be back for the Tottenham game, which might not exactly be the best news for Tottenham. Speaking of Tottenham, by the way, anybody see Mickey van der Ven's goal last night? Anybody see Mickey van der Ven's goal last night? Oh my days! What a goal that was. What a goal that was. Man just picks it up on the edge of his own box and goes, all right, I'm just going to put the afterburners on here. And he just runs and runs and runs and runs and runs and runs and runs. And then it's a fantastic finish. It's a great finish for a centre-back. Like, fair play to Mickey van der Ven. Fantastic win for Tottenham overall last night. But Mickey van der Ven with the pick of the goals. Absolutely outstanding. Absolutely outstanding from him. Yeah, he was absolutely brilliant. And I feel like Thomas Frank's come under a bit of unfair criticism so far. Like, if anybody was expecting top quality, easy on the eye football, at least in great consistencies, I don't know what exactly you're expecting, because Thomas Frank is not really known for playing that. He can play it at Brentford, and he has been known to play it at times. There have been moments and certain games where they have done it, but they've not really done it in great consistencies, or they've done it over a long period of time. So I don't exactly know what you're expecting, but surely this version of Tottenham is much better. Europa League title subsided. This version of Tottenham is surely much better than the Tottenham you had last season that was losing games with no defensive-minded approach whatsoever. Surely that was better. But it is what it is. I don't know. I hope Arsenal lose 6 in a row now. You and me both. I mean, hopefully more than 6. But, yeah, at the very least 6. At the very least 6. I don't know, man. Like, they're looking good. They're looking good right now. It's easy to see why they're the best team in the Premier League right now. And I know a lot of people will be like, oh, set piece this, set piece that. There's more than one way to win a football game, dude. There is more than one way to win a football game. Just saying. Mbappe had a shot that went outside the stadium yesterday. That ball is still rising. Yeah, NASA reported it yesterday. They thought it was a shooting star at first. It landed on the moon. It was bad. It was bad. No, it went to Jupiter. Yep. Fair enough. I pray for Arsenal's downfall. 100%. Hashtag fight for halal football is what Alex is saying here. I don't have a problem with how Arsenal play, you know. I really don't have a problem with the way that Arsenal play. I don't understand why a lot of people do. This isn't like some sort of Arsenal sympathising or Arteta sympathising or anything like that. The way that I see football is there is the beauty of our game is that there is more than one way of playing. Like, there is more than one way to set up. If everybody played the same way, it would be boring. If everybody played the same style, it would be boring. There is more than one way to win a football game. And what Arsenal have done is they have found a way to win games even when maybe they aren't exactly playing at their best from open play. Their consistency from set pieces is absolutely outstanding. The irony, by the way, is that Liverpool won a game yesterday based off of a set piece. So, we can't really talk when it comes to that. But I don't have a problem with it. I really, really don't. Like, Arsenal are going to get better from open play as it is, in my opinion. They're going to get better with their attacking from open play. Arsenal defensively are insane. They are absolutely insane defensively. They've got a good balance in midfield. But when that is all not exactly clicking together, when there is a bit of disjointedness, when there is a lack of sharpness in the attack that is, penetrating opposition lines and scoring goals and that kind of thing, they have an area of the game which I think for a number of years has been somewhat overlooked a little bit in terms of how effective it can be. Set pieces. And they're doing that to an insane consistency, and it's benefiting them greatly. And I'm like, again, my concern isn't for Arsenal. My concern is for everybody else who is not seeing what Arsenal are doing and going, let's take a leaf out of their book and let's do it ourselves. Let's try and recreate and replicate what Arsenal are doing with us. That's my problem with it. Because again, if everybody started doing that and everybody started finding success from consistency of set pieces, they're not going to complain. It may not look the best. It may not be easy on the eye, but it is an area of the game that is still a very good asset to be strong at, whether it's defending from them or attacking from them. I just find it strange that a lot of people have this weird sort of set piece agenda that you can't be good from just set pieces and rely on it. Arsenal aren't relying on it. Arsenal are relying on a solid defensive structure, which is their backbone and their backline that is so disciplined, so solid, and often at times seemingly impenetrable, like an incredible brick wall of you ain't getting past us. You are not getting past us. You're going to have to do something incredibly special to get past us. They're relying on that, coupled with a well-balanced midfield, tied together with an attack which may not exactly be firing completely on all cylinders right now, but is still dangerous and will only get better with time. And then all of that is being combined with set pieces, which are just the consistency of the likes of which I've not seen in the modern game. I have not seen this amount of consistency from set pieces in the modern day game. It's insane to me. It's absolutely insane. Trent is actually not a starter under Alonso. I don't know. I mean, I'm interested to know what the relationship is right now with Trent and Alonso. Because, of course, Trent was more so brought in, as a lot of Real Madrid signings are, under the image of Real Madrid, under the influence and image of what's the frigging president's name? Why is the name of the president of Real Madrid just escaped me? We all know who he is anyway. He's a frigging weirdo. The Real Madrid president. That's what the vast majority of the Real Madrid signings are brought for, right? Did Alonso want Trent? Did Trent want Perez? Yes, Florentino Perez. Yes, thank you for jumping in the chat there. Yeah, I can't remember, I don't know why I can't remember his name. This is why my memory is terrible. My memory really does need to go on a treadmill sometimes to be jogged. Um, it's absolutely terrible. But I don't know. I don't know whether it's Alonso doesn't want Trent. Maybe Trent is having a hard time um, bedding in Real Madrid. Maybe he needs time to adapt to La Liga. Maybe he needs time to adapt to Real Madrid. I don't really know what it is. But I don't know. And I know obviously he's been injured. So maybe the injury that he's recently had obviously caused him to not start yesterday. But it doesn't exactly seem like Real Madrid fans have taken too well to Trent so far during his time at Real Madrid. So yeah, I'm not entirely convinced. It hasn't exactly been the perfect start to life for Trent Alexander-Arnold so far. Real Madrid. So I'm interested. I'm intrigued to see how this relationship goes going forward because I don't know. I don't know. It's certainly an interesting one. It's certainly one to keep your eyes on. By the way, that should have been a penalty after handball. Chouameni, the ref made a mess of that. What do we think of that? By the way, I've not actually brought it up so far. What do we make of that handball? Here's my 2 cents for what it's worth. I think in the Premier League, it's not a penalty. I think in the Premier League, it's not a penalty. I think in the Champions League, it is. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to see penalties be given for that type of handball because he is trying to block it. I don't exactly know where he's supposed to put his hand, in all honesty. But I have seen in the Champions League worse handball decisions be given for that. That is what I have seen in the Champions League. I have seen worse handball decisions be given because I know that the threshold for what is considered handball in the Champions League is seemingly a lot lower than what is being given in the in the Premier League. It's a lot lower. I don't know why. I don't know why that is. I don't know why the Champions League and the handball rule is a lot more lenient towards the attacking team than it is in domestic leagues, but it is. So for me, in that aspect, it is handball. For me, it is in the box. It is also a penalty. It does look like it is in the box. So, therefore, I don't understand why the referee has overturned it. What also was interesting was the fact that he then gives a free kick to Real Madrid. Now, regardless of whether you think it's a handball or not, he initially gave a handball and a free kick. Now, if he'd have given a penalty, I can understand him overturning it and then carrying on with whatever the outcome was, whether it was a goal kick or a corner or whatever came about of the shot from Szoboszlai. I can understand if he decided to play on from that moment. But he gave a free kick to Real Madrid. Or he gave a goal kick to Real Madrid or whatever it was. Which I don't understand. That's the bit I don't understand. Like, handball, not handball, irrelevant. He gave a free kick to Liverpool for a handball. what we saw in the Brentford-Liverpool game was a moment where Van Dijk makes a challenge and they say that it was right on the line. So with it being on the line, it means it's technically therefore classed as inside the box. And because that evidence, in the words of the VAR on that day, was factual, it meant that the referee didn't have to go over to the pitch side monitor to check the decision and work out whether or not they were telling the truth or not. He took the word of the VAR and awarded a penalty to Brentford, right? So when I see this referee go over to the monitor to check the decision of whether or not it was handball, he didn't give the penalty in the first place. He didn't give the penalty in the first place. So why is he checking that decision? Because last time I checked, VAR was not there to micromanage the game. VAR was there to overturn penalty decisions, look at red cards, and look at goals. And there may be something else that I'm forgetting. But those are the main three. Those are the main three jobs of VAR. If the ref gives a free kick for what he perceives to be handball to Liverpool, but doesn't want to give the penalty because he thinks it's outside the box, that's fine. But to overturn it completely and say that it's not a handball, it's therefore not a free kick. Correct me if I'm wrong, people. Correct me if I'm wrong. But is this the first time ever that has actually happened in VAR's history? Is this the first time that has ever happened in VAR history where they've decided to overturn a free kick, and not for a red card challenge or anything like that, but for a handball that was inside the box? And okay, I'm not exactly all for this type of handball decision being given, but to not even just stick with the original decision of a Liverpool free kick, I personally don't get it. I personally do not get it. The whole clear and obvious thing as well came into play. Was it clear and obvious that the referee had made a mistake? No. So therefore, if it's not clear and obvious, stick with the original decision. Stick with it being a Liverpool ball. Only then you have to determine whether or not it was inside or outside the box. And because it seems like it was inside the box, you would have to have stuck with it to give the penalty. But to completely overturn it and give it as a Real Madrid ball, it just seemed very strange to me. It just seemed very, very strange. Like I say, it's not the be-all and end-all of anything that happened last night. And, you know, it is what it is, essentially. But I found it so strange. That decision last night was so strange. I also think Vinny Jr. as well. That theatrical dive that he did from Conor Bradley, I think he was lucky probably not to get a second yellow, in all honesty, because that was one of the worst dives I've ever seen. Yeah, he does get grazed in the face a little bit from a bit of a coming together. But, oh my God, the way he went down, it was unbelievably embarrassing. Unbelievably embarrassing. Big up Niche fan is in the building. Hope you're doing well, my bro. It was nice to see that normality is resumed. Liverpool winning and you dropping points to Nottingham Forest at the weekend. Didn't see you on the Monday show. Was kind of missing you, bro. After you gave it the big un like these past couple of weeks, and You should support the real Reds and Man United, and Man United are going to be challenging Arsenal to the Premier League title. Bit of a reality check this past weekend, was it, bro? Anyway, good to see you. Real Madrid had one job, they failed, and now we have to hear you lot going on about winning the treble. Unbelievable. No one's mentioned anything about winning the treble, bro. No one's mentioned it. If you want to be insecure about it, be insecure about it. But no one here has mentioned anything about winning trebles, winning trophies. We're taking it one step at a time. We're being cautious about this revival of sorts with Liverpool these past couple of games. We're taking it one step at a time, bro. No one here is talking about trebles other than you. But if you want to talk about being insecure, that's cool. But during the replays, fans never pay attention to the moment of passing and the moment of the ball leaving the foot, which can be several frames. They need the new daylight offside rule. 100%. I think Arsene Wenger's rule may actually benefit offside, but that's why they'll never do it, because they like to create the controversy. They like to create this sort of pub conversation lifestyle, if you like, that people will debate to create drama, to create intrigue, to create talking points, to create to just create the whole sort of narrative around it. That's why they'll never bring in Wenger's offside law, because if they do, it probably means that there is going to be less controversy in the sort of offside and all of those kind of things, offside law and all of those kind of things. It just means that they won't probably do it. I don't know. I'd be surprised if they do. They said they might revisit it, but whether or not they do remains to be seen. He does get hit in the face. I was fearing a pen that is not in Vinny's top 100 dives. Yeah, it's not. There is contact. There is definite contact, but it's not enough contact. It's not like it's obvious or intentional from Conor Bradley. He's just basically, using his strength to try and get the ball. So, yeah, it's not intentional. It's not the worst, but it was very theatrical. It was very theatrical from Vinny Jr., who was getting nothing out of Conor Bradley all game. And because he was getting nothing out of Conor Bradley all game, he tried to obviously cheese his way to a penalty. Something which I'm surprised the referee didn't buy, in all honesty, given that, Real Madrid and referees have a history. But yeah, contact, yes, but nothing proper, shall we say. Case in point, Dominic Szoboszlai, the penalty he gave away against Galatasaray was one of the softest penalties I've seen of all time. That, in my opinion, definitely not a penalty. But yet, for whatever reason, on that particular day, the referee gave it. And the following week, I think it was in the Premier League, Liverpool have the exact same thing happen to, I believe, Alexander Isak, and there is no penalty. If you want to take the Szoboszlai example and the Bradley example, they're probably very similar. They're probably like the same thing, but one was given, one was not given. And overall, they both should not have been given, in my opinion. So it is what it is. Drama, talking points, intrigue. That was before VAR. A linesman would just blatantly put flag up and refs make horrendous decisions, and then he would just make it right to do the same thing at the other end. They still do these kind of things, even without VAR and stuff like that. Again, another example, the Aston Villa game on Saturday. Ekitike scored a goal that was in the grand scheme of things, clearly offside. I didn't celebrate the Ekatike goal because I knew it was offside. I was like, he looked offside to me. And if I can see it from just watching on a screen, surely the linesman could see it, right? Looked clearly offside. About 5 minutes or so before Ekatike's goal, the referee put his flag up for a extremely marginal offside. He got it right, but it was so marginal. But I'm questioning, like, how did he see the close one, but he didn't see the blatantly obvious one of Ekatike scoring? It made no sense to me whatsoever, but they still do these kind of things. That's why they'll never change the handball law. That's why they'll never change the handball law. That's why they'll never change clear and obvious, because, again, clear and obvious is this massive grey area that creates topic of discussion and debate, which, of course, results in them kind of places online getting clicks and interactions and those kind of things. It's horrendous decision-making happens in all aspects of the game. I think it is worse in the Premier League, but to talk about how, like, European refs are better than English ones, other European refs are better than English ones, I don't think the bar's exactly set high as it is, but I don't think, like, it's much better out there, to be honest. Some are better than English refs, and I think that the Premier League should do more to incorporate more foreign referees in the English game. But at the same time, I don't know. I think officiating in all places just needs to be absolutely burnt to the ground and rebuilt again. It's absolutely abysmal sometimes. Big up, bro. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday morning. Did you watch the Bayern PSG game? It was crazy. Bayern press was so good and so dominant. Didn't feel like they were playing against the current UCL winners. Company is cooking. I did. I had it on. I had my laptop on. I had split screen. I had Liverpool on one side and I had Bayern PSG on the other side. It was so frustrating that both games were on at the same time. But yeah, I managed to kind of watch both games at the same time. Obviously, I was predominantly more watching Liverpool than I was Bayern, but it was still good to have them both on at the same time. And yeah, the Bayern game was really, really good. I was surprised at how good Bayern actually are. I think maybe a lot of people are underestimating Bayern this season. They've come on leaps and bounds under Vincent Kompany from the past year or so. And I think the acquisition of Luis Diaz has been inspired. I really do think it's been inspired. I think a breath of fresh air, I think, for both player and for the squad. I think for Luis Diaz, I think he was getting a bit stale over here at Liverpool and in this country. And I think he just fancied a new challenge and a new lease of life. And I think he's found that in Germany. I think he's found that in Munich. And I think he's found that with Bayern Munich as a football club. The tackle's stupid. The tackle from Luis Diaz, as harsh as what it is stupid. Why are you giving the referee the opportunity to go to VAR to send you off when you are 2-0 up? I just found it very stupid. It means he's going to be banned now for the next 3. Is it 3 Champions League games still? I think he's banned for the next 3 Champions League games. Bayern should be okay as it is. They are currently sat top of the league phase. They should be fine as it is. I know they have Arsenal coming up, but again, similarly to how I was talking to True Gunner earlier, if Arsenal were to lose that game, it wouldn't matter because Arsenal have set themselves up in a good position, the same way that Bayern Munich have currently set themselves up in a good position where if they take an L, okay, it's not great, it's not ideal, but it's one loss in potentially 8. So it wouldn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Bayern should be qualifying anyway. So it's a big loss, but at the same time, it was a fantastic performance. I thought the red card ruined the game a little bit, but what it did display to me is the pressing from Bayern in the first half to get that 2-goal lead was exceptional. And the defensive display from Bayern, whether it be Manuel Neuer being great in goal yet again, as we've come to expect from Manuel Neuer, of course, over the years, or whether it be the defensive display of the team, the work rate of that midfield. They did pose some threats going forward on the counter. Harry Kane and Michael Olise very much were still dangerous, still a threat going forward on the counter. Company is cooking. And it does show you that if at first you don't succeed with Burnley, just get a better job with better players and you will eventually be better. Your players will make you look great. No, but in all honesty, there were a lot of eyebrows raised when Bayern went for a Vincent Kompany. There were a lot of eyebrows raised when Bayern went with Vincent Kompany. And now you're seeing why, because they saw that, okay, he failed at Burnley in the Premier League, but why is that? It's because the players simply are not good enough to carry out his tactics and the way that he wants to play. But at Bayern, we have some world-class players that can carry out those instructions. Does that necessarily make him an amazing manager? Not necessarily. I would like to see him go back to, not necessarily go back to Burnley, but go to a lesser team than Bayern and see that if he can carry out the same level of performances with that club, whoever that club may be. But yeah, I think you are, as you say, starting to see Bayern cook with Vincent Kompany. And they're going to be a threat this year. They're going to be a massive threat this year. And if Harry Kane continues how he started the season, it's a big year for him. It's a massive year for him. Because you would expect the Bundesliga to be in the bag for Bayern. You would expect them to be strong favourites for the Bundesliga Domestic Cup. The Champions League, if they continue to do what they're doing right now, they could be strong favourites for that as well. And then it's about, for Harry Kane, the World Cup at the end of the year. Is he going to spearhead England to World Cup success? And if he is, there is no doubt in my mind as to who is going to be the recipient of the Ballon d'Or for 2026. But there's still a long way to go. There's still a long way to get there. And like I say, he will still need to win the Champions League to do that. And he'd need to, at the very least, get to the World Cup final in 2026. In La Liga, Vini often cuts into the box and then deliberately lobs the ball at hands of players from short distances. Refs are onto him. It's a clever tactic. And like I say, sometimes it does work and some referees buy it, some referees don't. It's a clever tactic. Luis Diaz had an eventful first half, scoring 2 and getting a red card against PSG. Yeah, he's like I say, he's found new life over there in Germany. He's done absolutely brilliantly so far. And last night, it was an incredible display for 44 of the 45 minutes that he played. And then in the 45th minute, he decides to make a stupid challenge to give the referee the opportunity to send off Luis Diaz. And he does that. He takes that opportunity, and Diaz is sent off. He'll be missing for the next few games for Bayern Munich on a Champions League level. And it's not ideal. It's not ideal if you are Bayern Munich or Luis Diaz. But it is still very much in Bayern Munich's hands. Do we think that many teams are bothered about finishing top this year? After what happened with Liverpool last year, does it really matter to finish first this year? I'm interested to know. Or do you think that teams will try and strategize a little bit? Do you think teams will start to look at, what's going on in those kind of playoff places and go, right, well, obviously we'd like to win this game. And if we win this game, we go second. And that's a very good position to be in. But if we lose or if we draw, the possibility is that we finish fifth. And then if we finish fifth, we could meet one of these teams instead, which would actually give us a better route to progressing to the next round of the competition. I wonder if there will be some strategy this year, because of course, Liverpool finishing first last year was seen as a fantastic achievement until we met the best team in the world at that point in PSG. And then finishing first in the league phase didn't matter. But I'm just wondering if maybe teams may just start to maybe strategize a little bit. You could win to finish top of the group, but maybe by finishing third or fourth, drawing the game or maybe even losing the game, throwing out a weak squad for a game that you should be winning but may just end up losing in order for other teams to overtake you, may stand you in good stead of getting a decent round of 16 tie that maybe you could go on and win the quarterfinals with. It's an interesting scenario. Particularly after what happened last year. I'm just saying PSG have one shot on target in the first half, and Bayern have not lost or drawn a single game this season in all comps. I believe if they are not favourites for the UCL, then I don't know who is. I think purely based on form, you are right. And I didn't actually realise that there was only one shot on target for PSG in that first half. Yeah, Bayern are incredible. Bayern are absolutely incredible. I mean, obviously, PSG did have a goal ruled out for offside, correctly given in that first half. But other than that, and other than, like you say, the one shot on target, Bayern were exceptional. And that's why I am hoping and praying that, although I have said that the Arsenal PSG game, the Arsenal Bayern game could be seen as a who cares kind of game in terms of, we would like to beat Arsenal or we would like to beat Bayern Munich, but we've got some big games coming up in our domestic league. We've got a few injuries. We need to rest some players. We need to rotate a little bit. I'm hoping that they go full pelt in that game. I'm hoping that both teams just go absolutely at it, because it could be one of the best Champions League games particularly this season, at least. It could be one of the best games this season in terms of strategy, in terms of defensive structure, in terms of going forward and attacking, in terms of set pieces and all of that kind of stuff. It could be one of the best games of football that we see this season, Arsenal Bayern. But it could also be a very overrated clash that underdelivers in terms of, it may look good on paper, But when it comes to the actual game, maybe Arsenal have decided to rotate a number of players. Maybe Bayern Munich have decided to rotate a number of players. Maybe they're not taking it as seriously because they've had such good starts to the Champions League campaign that they've gone, you know what? There's no point going hell for leather against a very good opponent in Bayern Munich or in Arsenal. So we'll rotate. Whatever happens in this game happens because we can claw it back in our next Champions League game. We'll go for the win then because it's a more favourable opponent. I'm hoping they go hell for leather, but I can also see them just going, you know what? We'll take a pass on this one. Whatever happens, happens. We've got good confidence that in our next game, we've got a more favourable opponent. We'll win that one. We shall see. Finish first don't matter, but top 8 matters, in my opinion. Yeah, of course, because you don't really want to be playing an extra game in the playoffs. You don't really want to be playing an extra game in the playoff section of the Champions League. So top 8 matters most. I agree with you. Bayern go away to Arsenal next. Yes, they do. And I can't wait for that game. And I'm hoping that's going to be an exceptional game. But like I say, it could also prove to be somewhat slightly overrated, depending on, obviously, how things turn out. Could somewhat under-deliver. Anyway, guys, seems like a very, very good place to call it. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Thank you all for joining me very early on this Wednesday morning. Big up to each and every single one of you. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Don't forget, though, to like and subscribe on the way out if you haven't already. If you're new, of course, subscribe. Find more content that you enjoy, hopefully, and enjoy the channel for what it is. I'll be back with the Premier League predictions video tomorrow. It is probably going to be tomorrow. Some point. I'm not sure when, but the Premier League predictions video will be out for tomorrow. So please do join us then for that. Otherwise, like I say, hit the like button on there if you enjoy the video. Subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. Hit up what will now be the comments section, of course, if you're watching on repeat. Whether it's about anything that we talked about in this video, whether it be about Liverpool, the Champions League, anything to do with that, with football or anything else, very much appreciated. We'll be watching it very closely. So, like I say, please do feel free to get involved. Thank you to everybody that joined us today. Thank you everybody that joined the chat. Really, obviously, very good to talk to each and every single one of you. Really enjoyable to talk to you all. Thank you for joining me once again. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I'll see you and speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching and listening. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll speak to you all again very, very, very soon. Take care of yourselves.